Oh no. I think I broke the game again. This is a good reason why you should have redeploy as an option on the pause menu, because some people aren't good people. I'm not a good person because I'm out of grenades. So to start, I've been having a lot of fun with the Modern Warfare beta, and I can't help to think it reminds me of a few other games. Some games that we love and some games that we love to hate. With a comparable mode, sense of scale, and modern setting, it harkens to a loved game from a few years back, within the same console generation, interestingly enough. Alright, and... Yes! Yes, that was a great shot. What? Ah, fuck. Did we fuck it up again? Well, but what's great about this is that while Battlefield 4 and Modern Warfare look very similar, there are differences in these games, both in the way they feel, the way they play, like the pacing, the way the battle lines shift, and a few other things here and there. Call of Duty borrows heavily, and they are in the same setting, they are in the same era, so of course they're going to look very similar, but I'm glad to say that they play very differently. Battlefield's a little slower, a little more methodical, as you can bust the cover down of your enemies, versus, you know, here where you kind of have to slowly push forward against a line because these people are embedded in cover. As to borrowing, well, this game does borrow a bit here and there from other games. Like that cool way you enter the battlefield in Titanfall 2. They pretty much did it in here with Ground War and with all the other modes. You have a cool little entry sequence. And they also have the like squad sprint or dash from Battlefront 2, which is cool. Though it doesn't work exactly the same way, it kind of serves the same purpose. Funny enough, it actually reminds me more of Battlefront 2 than it does Battlefield 4, with the static maps, smaller overall size, heavy focus on the infantry rather than a combined arms sort of approach. As Modern Warfare plays fast as hell, especially in the middle area of the map, at sea on the bridge. That area of the map turns into a fucking meat grinder. But unlike Battlefield 4, for example, most maps are too wide, really, to have these hard, unmovable lines, save for Locker or Metro. Now, overall, like I said, this serves the gameplay because one infantry person is stronger than one infantry person from Battlefield. And, again, this map is actually not that bad, even though it's not the best, it's good. But I hope this isn't the best they have to offer. As, like I said, there are a few areas of the map where players can get bogged down in meat grinders. Anyway, this overhaul of Ground War factors into the rise of Call of Duty coming back into favor. While COD never truly fell out with its mind-bogglingly high fucking sales figures, it's always kind of been sort of like the black sheep to other gamers. And until for a while, Battlefield was always a close second. In fact, it was always kind of like this underdog that people really liked, and they really wanted to actually overcome Call of Duty for years. We talked about how this year's the fucking year, at least until 5 came out, and those dreams were dashed completely. And without a competitor nipping at their heels, you would imagine Call of Duty would become stagnant because of this lack of, well, real competition. But no, they decided to actually seize on the moment, unlike Battlefield, because until 5, where they pretty much alienated a lot of the players and pretty much carried over the vast majority of improvements from 1 to 5, this game is not really, Battlefield as a game franchise has stagnated largely. You know, it is now stagnated so much so that pretty much now it's top competitor. In fact, the game that has always beat it is now going to leapfrog it, because the core of Battlefield is stagnated as the player count basically has. The max player count, while isn't everything, you know, the higher the player count doesn't necessarily mean a better game, it isn't the required player count, which means you can always go to lower player count modes if you want. This way, the theme of Battlefield and hell, even Battlefront could come out more because more players means more hectic fun, more chaos. And you can do more ambitious things with more players. Supposedly, Battlefield once upon a time could do 128 players. They just don't. They prioritize the presentation, the graphics, and the frame rate. They maintain 60 FPS, decent graphics, and 64 players on the PlayStation 4. They prioritize the presentation, the graphics, and the frame rates because, yeah, for the longest time, Call of Duty pretty much eclipsed them technologically. They had 60 FPS, lower player count, but decent overall HD graphics. All things, save for the last, were halved on the PS3 and 360 versions. Because, or at least actually the last one was actually cut down by 1/3, roughly 1/3, as in the player count from 64 to 24. So when you had the PS3 or 360 versions, they were inferior. They were vastly inferior. And now with the current gen, they're just trying to maintain the equivalence between PC and console. But that's getting back to the main point. Call of Duty has just leapfrogged Battlefield because the close quarter gameplay has always been better in Call of Duty. Always. Battlefield has had better large-scale gameplay. But Call of Duty has now made a version of large-scale gameplay that works. And it works pretty damn well. It's fun. Squad tactics can work very well in Ground War, so if you still want that squad situation going, you can still do it. But because Call of Duty also gives a lot of power to the individual player, you can lone wolf it. Especially if you're like me, forever alone type with no squad. You can play this casually. Battlefield doesn't serve casual players as well. Tactics for both mode of play are still relevant here, which is something that I don't think Battlefield does nearly as well. Because, yeah, there are a few tactics that actually work in both games, very much so. For example, common sense ones like don't run into the fucking open, especially in the middle of the map, because it becomes a meat grinder, as I fucking said. This map, while I do like it, I don't like the placement of the C flag. I kind of wish instead of it being on the bridge, that it was just, I don't know, in the middle of the rail yard, or maybe even on the very far, I think it's like left or right side of the map, depending on which direction you're looking at it from. Because that side of the map doesn't get used very much, so it'd be cool. And it also might be better to spread out the flags a little. But, yeah, I mean, I think overall the flow here is better because, like I said, it serves more players than Battlefield does. Also, another good tactic, suppressors. Use suppressors. They're very important nowadays because, like I said, infantry focus, short-range engagements, and squad tactics versus lone wolf tactics. Holy fuck. If you use suppressors, you will avoid the thing that I run into, which is running into a room and getting gunned down immediately. Because they saw your blip on the map and now they're gunning for you. Hell, even Battlefront 2 manages this juggle better, as squad tactics can be very powerful. But if you do well enough, you as a single player can do well, because units in that game have increased power, almost like kill streaks do here. Again, this is partially due to map size and squad power, and single player power. Yeah, a squad can knock you over, but you still have a chance due to the time to kill and the equipment available to you. But Battlefield, like I said, you fight a squad and you're done. You can revive if someone is nearby, but chances are that the squad shooting you revived their dudes and they're already coming back for round 2. That's not to say that Battlefield hasn't tried. They have tried adding modes like Breakthrough and Operations, which I would honestly, I would be lying if I said that they didn't help casual players get in, but at the same time, they're still not the friendliest for reasons I put. There's still elements of Battlefield that just aren't friendly to casual players. But I also gotta add something. This isn't the first time Call of Duty did an actual ground war mode, as many of us probably know. They actually had an 18-player ground war back in some of the older Call of Duties. Now, the problem with this mode is that these were usually just 18 players smushed into 12-player designed maps, which kind of showed because often you would be running into multiple lines of fire and getting killed very quickly, sometimes spawn killed. And this showed. Ground War was always sort of a background mode. It was never really something that was focused on, because hell, even the objectives of the game mode were just taken over from killed, confirmed, team deathmatch, and domination. Unlike now, where it is actually designed specifically for the maps. You know, Ground War is now designed for these many players to actually be running around and fighting, which is a marked improvement, and you can immediately tell the difference. Funny enough, this wasn't the first time they did a Ground War map, though, or a Ground War style game mode. They actually did one in Black Ops 4. They were doing it at the time of the fucking Modern Warfare beta, which is dumbass timing. But anyway, because, well, you have two of your own games competing against each other, which, similar modes, by the way, which sort of kills the point of demoing one mode. Anyway, besides that, I actually think Black Ops did one thing right. I think 50 on 50 is a better number than 32 on 32. Just because I think the lines get more frantic and the battles are just bigger. I like the more hectic gameplay it brings. And I really think Ground War should actually up its player count from 64, which is Battlefields, which I think is kind of funny, to 100. You really should just complete it. Hell, imagine this. If Call of Duty put 50 and 50 in their game, in Ground War, that would be the bow on this whole fucking thing. Yeah, it's 34 more players, but your servers can handle it. And imagine that. You did Battlefield better than Battlefield. I mean, shit. I love Battlefield. I bought the last several. I'm just barely getting back into COD again. I was conned into Black Ops 4. They bait and switched me with that fucking game. I hope it doesn't happen again. I got to admit, they're not the fucking most honest business-wise, so this could always run amok. But after seeing what EA's done to Battlefront 2 and Battlefield, that's very unlikely they're going to fuck it up as bad. And, like I said, being that it would leapfrog Battlefield, Call of Duty would end up leapfrogging Battlefield, then Battlefield would have to innovate. It would have to get better. It would have to get bigger, and it would have to get more ambitious, and they'd have to get their fucking priorities straight. Like, there are two things. Increase player count in Battlefield, right? And add a bot mode. Most of the freaking modes in Call of Duty have a bot mode. If Modern Warfare was able to make bots work in Ground War, then I do think that this leapfrog process is completed. Call of Duty's pretty much done everything Battlefield does, but better. And substantially better. In fact, there's things that Call of Duty's doing that Battlefield isn't even going to try. Like the bots in a big game mode, for example. Or even just increasing the player count. Battlefront 2 and Battlefield are games that show this. Battlefront 2 is on a good track right now. It's getting Fallujah and the Republic Commandos. Battlefield, yeah, it's getting a new map, but to be honest with you, no one's really enthusiastic for anything coming in Battlefield at the moment. Modern Warfare might have turned this whole fucking series around, turns out. When you overhaul and redo a game to have a brand new mode that's very different from what you had in the past, it is a good way to draw players back. Hell, it drew me back. I'm not gonna lie, I'm very excited for Modern Warfare. It's the first time I've been this excited for a Call of Duty in a long time. Even Black Ops 4, which I was partial to. I liked Black Ops 4. Before it fucking, bait and switched us all. I liked it, but I wasn't really excited for it in the same way because Black Ops 4, we were getting more of the same plus a blackout mode, which, to be honest, I'm not a big fan of Battle Royale modes. So, I wasn't really that excited for it. I did like the Ground War mode they showed off, and I think potentially it can show the capability of a Ground War mode in the future that's more, designed and has more emphasis placed on it. And also, do 50 on 50. You can do 50 on 50. It's been proven. Don't do 32 on 32. I want 50 on 50. Leapfrog Battlefield, goddammit. Anyway, this will hopefully force Battlefield to be better. And there's only one way to see, right? Because right now, these games will be the only two real big, I guess you could say, big conflict shooters. Yeah, there's PlanetSide and a few others, but let's be real, they're not that popular. Now, this change will be good for gamers, and it might just bite EA in the ass. EA does need a good bite to the ass right now, because it really needs to get its shit done. It needs to really get its shit together, which is something we can all get behind. A better EA is a better gaming. It's a better gaming industry. And better overall games for us. Anyways, I hope you enjoy. Comment, let me know if I'm wrong or why you might agree, and please like and subscribe. Have a good day.
Allied IAV dropping in. We captured Delta.